What's up, folks? Maximilian here, and welcome back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, The Online Warrior, Season 2, and I think we're on Episode 12 right now. So, gonna be a little bit different than the usual. I've actually been taking user-submitted videos from the last one that we were talking about, and check back later, because I might go through some folks' matches at the end of this one, but for now I wanted to talk about something about perspective. I'm going to try to bring the topics back into some of these videos, although it is a little difficult to find topics of conversation when you now have a game in itself that is almost 2 years old. Ultimate Marvel 3, of course, is just hit its birthday not too long ago, but the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series is getting to be about 2 years old right now, which is a little freaking crazy, right? Nonetheless, I'm going to try to do my best to bring back some topics of conversation into the Online Warrior series. And this one's been on my mind a little bit lately, and whenever I put things into perspective, it gets a little nuts when I think about it, how crazy Ultimate is actually compared to the other Marvels. But before I do that, and if you guys are listening to this conversation as Doom gets a quick little light attack, leave me a comment below if there's a piece or topic of discussion that you guys would like to hear my elaborations on, because I think that would be best. If I can go through and I find something like, oh yeah, this would be a good thing to make a good discussion video on, then that would be best. Because as of right now, it's like, I can talk about some of the stuff that's going on with tournaments, you know, some characters that are really powerful, how infinites are actually really affecting the tournament scene right now, especially because characters like Dr. Doom who have mid-screen infinites and stuff like that. But I think we've kind of really covered a lot of that stuff before, and I don't think this has been covered in previous videos. I think we've talked about which is the most broken Marvel of all of them, and now we're going to get into a little bit different of a topic, and it's putting Marvel into perspective. So for the Marvel vs. Capcom series, in this discussion, we're going to reference Marvel vs. Capcom, and then 2, and then 3 and Ultimate. Moving forward from that, what I wanted to see is which one of these games is like the most beloved, like which one is the most favored of everybody that's played them. For myself personally, I'll start off with the first one. Marvel vs. Capcom holds a near and dear place in my heart due to nostalgia and reasons of that nature. Several different things led to my aspirations to be good at the original Marvel vs. Capcom, and why I like it so much. So, I don't know if it's a little unfair for me to judge it based off that, but nonetheless, I think what's important is that I still have just as much fun with the game now as I did way back in the day, which is why, God bless MVC Origins, dude. I'm really glad they gave that game a faithful port. I really do like Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I think that's actually perhaps my favorite of the entire series. Whether or not it's like the balanced cast, the cast isn't too crazy. Sure, there's busted stuff. Wolverine's got some crazy infinites on the ground. Chun-Li's got some fairly easy infinites to do. Gambit's got a stupid infinite. There is some busted stuff, but that kind of comes with the nature of Marvel. In Ultimate Marvel 3 and in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series, it's not about having an infinite for every character. It's about having a character that can touch you until you die. At that point, it doesn't matter if you need an infinite or not, if they can touch you and you die. You see what I mean? Oh my god, that cross-up foot dive. So when it came to this stuff, thinking about it in retrospect, it didn't bother me nearly as much as I thought it would, especially considering the nature of this game, of how the damage is so freaking high, and how that affects the game. So when I go back and I play Marvel 1 nowadays, I still really like it. The things don't bug me as much. I think the only thing that really bugs me about that game, in comparison, is the secret characters, like Red Venom, Gold War Machine, and Red Venom especially. That character is absolutely ridiculous, and it's kind of blitzkrieg insane that the fact that he's even selectable in online play and stuff like that. Nonetheless, getting into a tangent, I do really like Marvel 1. I think I can just leave it at that. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is considered to be one of the most beloved fighting games of all time, I think. I don't think that there's one fighting game that has been celebrated, praised, and played for just about as long as that game has been, unless you consider something like Super Turbo. Sure, plenty of fighting games have stood the test of time, but Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is that game that literally stood the test of time and had a community for it for over like 10 years. It's crazy. And it's not just that, it's like everybody and their mother played Marvel 2. It's like the Smash Brothers of Capcom games. Now, before you guys rip my head off based off that comment, I mean the Smash Brothers as far as being accepted and played by a very large community. Technically, the most popular fighting game of all time is Smash Brothers Brawl on the Wii. Yeah, let that sit in your head for a little while and think about that one. Isn't that a little crazy to think that? Whether or not you consider that a fighting game or not is kind of different than the discussion. Marvel 2 is just praised and loved by so many people, despite how broken it is, despite how many times the sprites have just been reused over God knows how many games now. It's still awesome. So I go back and I play Marvel 2 now, and for any of you guys that I think putting things into perspective is great sometimes, because it makes me, I think, better at older games sometimes, and it makes me understand things to the point of which I appreciate it more. And when I've gone back and I played Marvel 2 since then, I think you guys might have remembered the first Salty Battles where I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Just barely even remembered anything. The biggest thing I was wrapping my head around was just the control scheme. Check out this sweet-ass Dormammu stuff going on the screen right now. It was just the control scheme and figuring out how the hell do I convert back to this after, you know, the 4-button 2-tag layout of Marvel 3? How am I going to go back to Marvel 3 after this? It's just going to mess me up. I'm not going to know how to use Doom or Strider. It wasn't that bad. The characters are so dramatically different in those games. I think it is a lot easier to digest. And what I found was that I'm actually way better with Strider and Doom in that game than I am in this one. Not just as far as controlling the characters. What I meant to say is in Marvel 2, it's like I was okay with those characters when I first played them, and I was playing them a long time ago, but it's like now when I play it, I'm able to time Strider's teleports a lot better, place assists a lot better, just because I put a lot more time into Ultimate Marvel 3 than I think I have in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in the long run. And it might not even be that. It's like Marvel 2 existed in a point of my life and the life of the internet and information where not everything was available all the time. I think James Chen was talking about this on Wednesday Night Fights, or the Runback, I'm sorry, earlier this week. And he thinks the life cycle of Ultimate Marvel 3 and what it's at right now, or the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series, is about equivalent to the 5-year mark of Marvel 2 because of how much information is spread between everybody and how much everybody knows about the game. And because of that, it's a much different experience. Like things like the TAC Infinites and stuff like that, that was in the original Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We just didn't know about it because the game just wasn't out long enough to discover it, and there was too many other hugely glaring things that kind of just wiped the slate clean, and the DHC glitch was just so good. Anyway, Marvel 2, when you go back and you play it now, combos aren't nearly as long as you thought they used to be. Sure, characters like Psylocke and Magneto and Iron Man have like crazy infinites. Not like Psylocke. Psylocke's just a great assist, but Magneto and Iron Man and all this stuff. And it's like, oh my god, I remember Marvel 2 just being this ridiculous, batshit crazy combo game. And you go and you play it now, and it's like short, heavy, super. That's kind of like what a lot of characters kind of boil down to. Sure, you can go into an air combo, but a lot of times the air combo isn't worth it because it negates the damage of the super, which is kind of funny, you know? And it's like, dude, this game isn't nearly as ridiculously complicated as I remember it being, and I think it's just because Ultimate Marvel 3 and the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series kind of is. Like, this game can be a little bit hard to breach into, and because there's just so much stuff going on. Marvel 2 also feels a lot slower than I remember. It's kind of funny how much easier it is to block Magneto's crazy tri-jump mix-ups and stuff like that when you have to deal with it in this game. Especially online. It's like, this isn't that bad. Sure, it's just as hard to block this stuff, but the principle of Marvel applies to Marvel 2, especially in Marvel 3 as well. Not as much Marvel vs. Capcom 1, but it kind of is a basic fighting game principle. But especially in these games, to block those things where it's like, how am I supposed to block that? What was I supposed to do to block in this situation? I guess it was the other way. I mean, how do you even see that? Point is, you don't actually see that. You just have to adapt, and you just have to not be there. That's the best blocking in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, is to not be there, to avoid the situation completely. I'll tell people that to the end of time. But yeah, Marvel 2 is an interesting throwback if you guys go back and play it now. I actually really enjoy it, and I think I actually like Marvel 2 more because of Marvel 3. So give that a shot sometime. I highly, highly, highly do not recommend you guys play Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Vanilla. That game is nuts, and it is busted as hell. Don't do it. I've tried recently, and it's just a salty battle waiting to happen. What I do recommend is that with this perspective, now that you've played maybe a little bit of Marvel vs. Capcom 1, you got some Marvel 2 in your blood, feeling the combos, feeling the pace of the game, and the pace of the game, those games are especially Marvel 1, is way different. Marvel 1's kind of like a huge footsie game. Marvel 3 or Ultimate Marvel 3, dude, the combos in this game are crazy. I don't think combos in games haven't been this batshit crazy since, like, Killer Instinct, and I realize that now. Like, you don't notice this stuff because you're just playing it. You're just soaking in Ultimate Marvel 3. You want to get your KO, you want to get your one-hit kill based off all the assists you have and how much damage you have and how much the hit stun is going to decay and all this stuff that you already understand because you've been playing Marvel 3 for so long. Combos in this game are crazy. Like, even more crazy than I think almost any other fighting game, especially for the fact that a lot of them can just kill you. Like, can kill a character or can kill most characters in an absolute heartbeat. Throw X Factor on top of that, and you have an insane fighting game. And I think that's what makes Ultimate Marvel 3 the most appreciated by the community. It's just crazy, it's insane, it's so much fun to watch, and I kind of understand why not a lot of people like the original Marvel vs. Capcom as much as I do. It's definitely got the characters. That's one of the biggest things that people latch onto is this characters, being able to play Marvel characters in a game that isn't a comic book, you know what I mean? Finally being able to play as Magneto, a badass version of Magneto nonetheless. But I think it's okay because we have this game now, and as far as a quality title, my god, did I just get ripped up by the Hulk. Ultimate Marvel 3 does a pretty good job at being an entertaining experience for people watching and the people playing. Albeit frustrating at times and not having the best as far as certain things, and you've heard me say that many times. But Ultimate Marvel 3 is, damn it dude, it's fun. And I don't think I'm going to give it up anytime soon, especially with the crazy combo-ness and dudes dying in one hits and TAC Infinites and, you know, Bill Cosby and Magello. It's too good. So here we go. We got our final match before we get into one of the user-submitted videos. Thank you guys for tuning into my commentary. And if you enjoyed that topic, please let me know. And like I said, if you have a topic of your own that wants to that you'd like me to discuss, please leave a comment below as well. And is Wesker going to make a comeback here? I think I actually ran out of X Factor with Wesker early on this match, and I didn't have much else to ride right now, but it's getting pretty close. Hulk gets assassinated in the freaking kneecap, and now we got the Dark One versus the Dark Virus One. I guess that's the best way to describe him. The darkest of veridical-ridden people. And now it's a teleport battle, or at least it's going to be kind of a footsie game at this point. I have not really learned to integrate Wesker's light command grab too much in my play. Oh my god, I just got scooped up hard. But I need to because it's amazing, because I don't know the follow-up after the light one, and the light one's so fast, and it looks like I'm going to take this game. Low gun shot into team canceled, didn't even need it. Wow, Wesker took that whole game. What a crazy one. Now let's switch things up and go to our user-submitted video of the week, and this one coming from Super Fightin' Brothers, and he's asking for a little bit of advice on dealing with some of this crazy stuff. He is, I believe, the player on the right, Lock the Cole, I think the name is. Nonetheless, he's dealing with something that is an extremely powerful combination in Ultimate Marvel 3, and it is a giant robot with a big hulking green man. Sentinel and drones is really hard to do, is really hard to take care of. And it looks like Locke is having a little bit of trouble at the start. Something that you'll need to be patient with that is testing out the time of your push blocks. That'll help you out a lot in that situation. Gets a jump in attack with Ryu and capitalizes on the damage a little bit. Actually, Ryu doesn't have any way to off the ground, so he can't do much into Spencer. Sadly, that DHC wouldn't be too great, but smartly, he jumps or air jumps right out of all that stuff. And then you're doing what you should be doing here. You're actually getting out of there. And not being there is the best thing to do instead of taking chip damage upon chip damage. Ooh. That was actually it worked out in your favor right here. And the fireball goes in the other direction, of course. But definitely should have blown the super to kill the Hulk. In any situation you have an ability to kill your opponent's character, use it unless you need to snap in a character like Phoenix or something crazy like that. Oh my gosh, dropping with a kick and a Sentinel's gigantic freaking boot kicks Ryu into the sky, and with Wesker, this DHC will do it. The only reason this is killing you now, well, he's not using X Factor either, is because Wesker is still alive. You gotta kill that guy. Spencer comes in, and there's a pretty good chance you can still take this one. Spencer's a great comeback character. Ooh, that's getting pretty close here. Gotta look out with those hooks. Those raw blocked hooks, I think, can get punished. And good time to X Factor? Yeah, absolutely is. He X Factors as well, and that was just kind of a test of trials where you got to get used to the fact that the hard drive is going to go all the way through and it's going to switch sides. You did actually have that game fairly well, I thought. And at the end of that hard drive, since you had X Factor and if you knew a pretty basic combo with Spencer, after the hard drive you can grab him and then go for that OTG combo. So hopefully a little bit of that advice helps you out. And thank you guys very much for tuning in to another episode of Ultimate Marvel 3, The Online Warrior. My name is Maximilian, and I'll see you next week.